Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining the East Alabama Works quarterly workforce meeting for April 20th, 2021. We are so excited to have you all as part of our day to hear more about some opportunities in East Alabama for workforce development, and probably three topics that are very interesting. I know that workforce data seems to be something that everybody has been asking for different things, whether it's grants, understanding, where money comes from and where some training dollars may lie. So we're kind of share a little bit of some upcoming workforce events. And so the first thing we have going on is the governor's survey of employer competencies. I know several of you have completed a number of different surveys for different things. You may be surveyed out, so to speak. However, I really want to draw attention to this. This survey really will help business and industry train the employees with the skills that they are looking for. It helps to align those education and workforce training to the needs that business and industry have. So the survey is located on the web. It has a very long link, and to save you all from trying to write it down, Carl Brady has shared on the East Alabama Works social media pages today the information about the survey. So you could go to the East Alabama Works Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts and find the link for that employer survey. It has also been in the past reminders about the quarterly workforce meetings. So if you go back to the newsletter in early April, you'll find that link as well. But we really hope that you will take this. It could be a tremendous asset to our workforce region and the state as a whole. The deadline to complete the survey is April 30th. Should not take long. And again, this would be really valuable to you, your business, and our entire workforce region. So some upcoming workforce events: our work-based learning webinar hosted by our friends at the Alabama Office of Apprenticeship, Work-Based Learning Best Practices in the Alabama Community College System, is going to be on May the 4th at 1 p.m. So go ahead and mark your calendars. That will be a really good webinar to join. The team at Alabama Office of Apprenticeship does a great job in keeping that to 1 hour. It'll be a really good hour that you could learn a lot about some best practices. Another great workforce webinar is on May 17th, hosted by the Alabama Workforce Council. It'll be on the 17th at 9 a.m. And our special guest is going to be Senator Tommy Tuberville. And you can view that on the Facebook page for Alabama Works and for East Alabama Works. We share that content on our Facebook page as well, so that you can always find that webinar. Again, usually we keep that webinar to 1 hour. And I think with Senator Tuberville, it could be some really great information. We also, as you all are aware, hosting leadership skill training. Again, a lot of information that we hear from business and industry is really needing to grow their talent within. And so the leadership skill training, I'm going to ask Abby Howell from our East Alabama Works team to share a little bit about the two upcoming leadership classes. Abby?
Thanks. So right now we are partnering with AIDT to offer free virtual leadership skills trainings for once a month. If you were familiar with these previously, they had to be taken in order. So in order to take LS2, you would have to have previously taken LS1. They have actually done away with that requirement. So if you are new to this, you can jump in and take your LS2 course or your LS3 course whenever. And again, we offer these once a month. So every month we'll have a leadership class. And if you're interested in that, we have the links to register on our website, or you can just email me directly. My email is ahowell@eastalabamaworks.com. and I can give you more information on that. But again, right now we will be doing them virtual through September. After September, we will reevaluate to determine if we are able to host these events in person. But I have personally gone through all three of them. They're really helpful. So whether you are interested or you have somebody that works for you that you feel like would benefit from these trainings, they're really wonderful. And even though they are virtual right now, they are extremely interactive. There's lots of activities, and it's not one of those things that you feel like you're just staring at a computer screen all day listening to somebody talk at you. The instructor is really great about making you give feedback and interact with her. So again, if you have any questions, please just email me, and we have registration links up on our website.
Thanks, Abby. And I think Carl Brady from our East Alabama Works team has completed all three of the leadership skill classes as well. And many of you all may have taken part in either leadership 1, 2, and or 3. And so if you have staff members that are looking that you want to upskill and help provide that leadership training to them, again, this is a great option. It is at no cost to our Alabama companies, because we're trying to give back and help them. There will come a time when hopefully we get back to an in-person event. But at this point, the virtual option has been has been very beneficial to our employers and to those partaking in the class. And so we have our first guest speaker. I want to welcome Gerald Nix with the Alabama Department of Labor. Often workforce stakeholders really inquire about that workforce data. They're looking to, where to find it at and really how to understand it. Mr. Nix did a presentation to the staff at East Alabama Works. And as soon as Carl, Abby, and I heard the presentation, we knew that we wanted to have Mr. Nix come in and talk with our workforce stakeholders, because we thought it would be very beneficial and timely for you all as well. So we're looking to have Mr. Nix join us. Mr. Nix is a labor market analyst. He's with the Department of Labor since 2016. And prior to that, he worked in private industry for over 25 years in a variety of roles, including HR and training. Mr. Nix is a graduate from Auburn University with a degree in secondary education. And during Mr. Nix's presentation, feel free to enter any questions that you may have for him in the chat box that's on the Zoom toolbar. And when Mr. Nix is finished, Carl will read anything that might be in the chat box for Mr. Nix. So Mr. Nix, we're going to give you the floor. So everybody join me in welcoming Mr. Gerald Nix.
Thank you so much, Lisa and the entire team at East Alabama Works, for allowing me to meet with everyone today and share some of our resources and publications that we have available for you. One of the first things I wanted to do before we delve into anything is go into the ACT work keys. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so with the ACT work key scores, we actually utilize those as references with our publications that we produce. What I've run across in talking with people across the state is sometimes they have a basic understanding of what the work key scores are. So I put together just a real quick 4 slides to kind of give a little bit better background to them. So the work key assessments were developed to measure skills needed for a particular job. They measure a range of hard and soft skills relevant to any occupation at any level and across industries. The assessment levels build upon each other, incorporating the skills assessed at the previous levels. And then once a student has reached their score from, or received one of their scores from the assessments, they can then compare the scores to job profiles located both on the ACT website and then also with our demand lists that are found on our LMI website, which we'll get into that in just a minute.
Gerald?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, we can see your screen, but it's just the monitor. We don't see your PowerPoint.
Oh. Let's see. Let me figure out what happened.
Now we see your PowerPoint.
Huh. Okay. I got into presentation mode and it quit sharing, so I will leave it as B since technology is so fun. So the slide that's up on the screen right now, that's what I just ran through a second ago. So with the work key assessments, we use those as references for our demand occupations, both at the state level and the regional level. So our goal is to assist students by giving them the chance to compare demand occupations with the scores they've received after completing those individual assessments. You can see on the screen right now, what I did was I grabbed just one little screen out of our demand occupation list for Region 2 and focused in on health science. You can see on the screen with that red arrow to the left-hand side there that we're looking at registered nurses, nursing assistants. You can see the 2018 employment, the average annual openings off to the right there, the median annual salary, and then off to the right, you see those, the median work key scores for applied math, workplace documents, and graphic literacy. The work key scores that we utilize do align with the NCRC certification nationally. And then next is just the definitions of what each one of those represents. So applied math is the measures critical thinking, mathematical reasoning, and problem solving techniques. Graphic literacy measures the skill needed to locate, synthesize, and use that information. And workplace documents measures the skills people use when they read and use written text, such as directions, notices, bulletins, policies, and regulations that are on the job. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually jump to our website so I can show you not only where you're going to find the references for the work key scores, but also other resources that you may find helpful. So if you are navigating with me, you can simply type in labor.alabama.gov/LMI. And that takes you to the LMI homepage for the Department of Labor. And Lisa, can you guys see that okay? Okay, I just want to make sure before we get too far into it. You know, you will find other items within the LMI website, CES, OES, the occupational employment statistics, LAUS, which is our unemployment data. I know everybody's been real keen on that over the past year with the pandemic and everything that's happened with that. But as far as workforce development, you're going to find everything under this little menu right here. So if we click on workforce development, that will take you to the top of our page. There's a lot more here than I can cover in just a few minutes. So I'm going to hit the highlights. We do have statewide and regional reports, basically highlighting commuting patterns, changes in industry sectors, and a plethora of others there at the top. But as we scroll down, what I really want to delve into is our demand occupations. And so what we do is every 2 years, we develop industry projections as well as occupational projections. Our current period right now is 2018 through 2028. And so we use those to develop those demand occupations, both at the statewide and the regional levels. So the products that are within this little section on the webpage under demand occupations, you'll find posters. These posters reflect the 16 different career clusters. And I'm going to pick agriculture and food and natural resources. So as that displays on the screen, what you will find here are going to be the actual demand occupations for the state within the agriculture career cluster. We divide those occupations up by attainment level, and then we include off to the right-hand side the median annual salary for that occupation as well. So you can see with high school or less, there's the agricultural and equipment operators with the median annual salary of $24,264. As we scroll down, you'll see environmental engineers at the bachelor's degree and above with that median annual salary. One of the things that we've enhanced the posters with this time is we've included the licenses required to do the occupations listed above. So not every occupation on the demand list will require a license, but for those that do, we've included that license in the poster itself. The other thing that we've done is include the common certifications for the occupations that are on the demand poster as well. So these are 11 by 17 posters printed on glossy paper. So if you have somebody that is a career tech teacher and would like to decorate their room, they could contact me or possibly one of the local career centers in order to get a hold of each one of those different 16 career cluster posters. Next, I want to highlight our brochures. So previously, we did career cluster brochures as a way to kind of introduce students or somebody that may not be familiar with what it's like to work in a career cluster with the occupations that exist within that. We also had something we called our Hot 40 posters. Those have kind of been melded together to create a really enhanced brochure. So I'm going to take a look at health science. So once again, this is going to be statewide level data. So on the front page, yeah, we do have the cluster name as well as the definition of what that career cluster is. As we scroll down, we will get into the employment projections. So each one of the occupations listed within these career clusters will be the demand occupation statewide. So we can see that with registered nurses, in 2018, the estimated employment was over 52,000. And by 2028, the projected employment will be over 58,000 statewide. We've got the average annual openings statewide at almost 3,500 new openings. And then the average annual growth rate for that occupation listed here as well. So as I scroll down, you'll see how long the list for health science is. So I think it's roughly around 30 occupations this go around. The complete list of all demand occupations for the state is roughly about 240 demand occupations. So on the next page, what we've included in the brochure is the alternate job titles. So for each one of those demand occupations up above, we decided to include the alternate job titles because sometimes our SOC titles don't necessarily align with advertised job titles. So we want to make sure to let somebody know what that may also be known as when they're looking for a job on, say, Indeed or LinkedIn or wherever they may be doing a job search, as well as on the AlabamaWorks website. This is the complete list of licensed occupations for every occupation that's in demand in the brochure for health science. And as we scroll down, one of the things we noticed with our previous publications is we always talked about average annual salary, which wasn't a great representation. You know, somebody would go in and see our average annual salary listed and have an idea that that's what they're going to earn straight off the bat as they get into an occupation. So we decided to create the wage range here. So what we do is we take every demand occupation within the career cluster and then calculate the wage difference from entry level to experience level so they can see the growth opportunity for their salary over time as they gain experience and get into those higher wage brackets. So you'll see that this continues on down through the first page as well as into the second page. And then lastly, for health science will be the top certifications. So these will be a one-to-one match for every occupation listed above. These are the top certifications for those. And then the next two slides, we basically have the health science poster put into the brochure just for quick reference. So you can see the occupations divided by attainment level, which gives a student or somebody looking into a career an idea of how long their training may be before they can actually get into working in that field. And then the very last page of the brochure is going to be our listing of the one-stop career centers across the state. So right now we've got 52 listed on the back of these brochures. We've just opened our 53rd, so I'll have to revise these to get that last one included on here. But this will have the locations with the addresses and the contact phone numbers for each one of the career centers across the state. So everything we've looked at so far has been at the statewide level. So what I want to do is actually take a look at regional. So underneath those posters and brochures, we have the demand list and summary tables. So this will be the complete list of all demand occupations. And we will look at East Alabama Works here. At the very beginning of each one of these, as you go into it, you're going to find our methodology for how the demand occupations were chosen. I won't get into those. If you want to read more on that, you can take a look at this a little bit later. So I'm going to scroll down and actually get into probably what you're most interested in is actually seeing the true demand occupations for East Alabama. This time what we've done is we've actually divided up all the demand occupations by career cluster. So just as you saw in the posters, you'll see the same occupations listed here. And we can see, since agriculture is first, we'll take a look at that. We can see that at the very top of the list is farm workers and laborers, crop nursery and greenhouse, with the 2018 estimated employment of 1,900. The average annual openings of 315 per year. You see the asterisk here, so we've got some confidential information in there that we're not allowed to disclose. So anytime you see those asterisks, you just know that for specific reasons relating to BLS, we're not able to disclose that information. But once again, you can see those median work key scores here on the right-hand side. So as the students get those assessments, they can come in and see how they align to what the occupation they may be interested in is. The one thing I've always told students when I do like career fairs and stuff like that is just because, you know, your assessment doesn't exactly match up with what the occupation is, doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you may have to study a little harder or take some higher level, say math courses or whatever it may be in order to get into that occupation. But those numbers, those average work key scores on the scale of 1 to 7, in kind of layman's terms, I always tell people is that if you see a 6 or a 7, that's going to be something that you know that you're going to have to do on a regular basis with a reference to applied math or workplace documents or the graphic literacy. And as you work your way down that scale, you may not have to do it quite as much on a daily basis. I won't go into each one of these, but below this, you're going to find each career cluster and all the demand occupations within that career cluster. So I will continue to scroll down till we get to the next section. But you can see education, training, finance, government, health science, hospitality, human services, IT, law, manufacturing, marketing and sales, STEM, and then transportation occupations. And these are all, like I said, specific to Region 2. And as we get into the next page, these are going to be the 25 fastest growing occupations within Region 2, East Alabama Works, within their career cluster. So these, something I learned just recently, is these are not necessarily in order 1 to 25. These are in order within their career cluster. So you can see the occupation here within, say, health. The physical therapist assistants is one of the top 25 fastest growing within that region, with a 2.11% annual growth rate and the average annual openings of 20 for that specific occupation in East Alabama. So as we scroll down, we've got the 25 highest demand. And this is going to be based on the number of job ads, as well as a couple of other factors with wage and openings within East Alabama. So what we do is we pull burning glass data and take a look at that in conjunction with these occupations to determine that highest demand based on those online job ads. So once again, those will be divided up by career cluster. And then lastly, we will have the 25 highest demand less than bachelors. So previously we called this the associates and under list. I know the career centers will utilize this quite a bit as they're getting people into training programs. But you'll see basically the same information that we saw above. We have occupations divided up by the career cluster with the online job ads, and then that annual median wage for each occupation within those career clusters. So these are the publications that we develop and refine every 2 years. So every time that we have new publications I should say projections come up, the publications have to be altered to reflect those changes with the projections. We just did these this past fall. So we would be looking at again in 2023, late summer, fall, having new publications to reflect those projections changes available. So a couple of the things I wanted to highlight just real quickly. I know some of you, especially maybe the liaisons, have asked for updates on the state of the workforce reports. We just got these from CBER in Tuscaloosa yesterday. So the publications online have been updated. So you can see the 2020 East Alabama Works State of the Workforce Report is available online on our website for you guys to peruse and take a look at. Two other quick things I just want to highlight is one, our county profiles. We've recently updated these, and let's pull up, let's see, Etowah. So the county profiles are a good source for a lot of different information. You'll find everything from demographic information for the counties to wage information to commuting patterns, also down to the higher ed information will be on here as well. And just a very quick scroll through here because it's about 25 to 26 slides depending on the county. There's some of the demographic information. You can see populations by age group. We can see populations by school enrollment as well as educational attainment. There's unemployment data. So this is December 2020 for Etowah County. There's the unemployed claims for Q4 2020. Online job ad postings for all of 2020. And one of the last things we have to update is we get this from CEBR will be the expected worker shortfall. One of the last things I'll highlight on here, and there's so much information on here from industry trends to sector trends as far as employment goes. You can see the trend over the past 10 years. At the very end of this county profile, you will find the AIC data that we include on here. So we list all the high schools within the county, as well as the number of grads. So this will be the 2018 to 2019 high school grad enrolled in public colleges. So for Etowah High School, you saw that there were 139 grads at the end of that semester, into that school year. By the time graduation happened, 62 of those had been enrolled in public colleges. Unfortunately, we can't see out-of-state colleges or private schools. And then you can see the remediation for math, English only, as well as both of those as they get into the post-secondary training. After that, we've got the undergraduate enrollment. And of course, this will be for Alabama public schools, 2-year and 4-year. You can see specifically for people that call Etowah County their home county, there are 354 that are enrolled in nursing, registered nursing classes, and then first-time freshmen, there were 52 during that fall 2019 period for enrollment. And then very last is going to be the completers. So for people who call Etowah County home, in the summer of 2018 through spring of 2019, there were 53 nurse graduates at the associate level, 47 at bachelor, 16 at master. So for Etowah County, that's a total of 116 in that nursing, registered nursing field. And then one last quick report. Every month we do our HWL series. This is a way to take a look at online job ads. So real-time demand data for occupations based on the regions. And just real quickly, as we look at region 2, you can see as for March 2021, the majority of the online job ads were retail salespersons at 102 ads, registered nurses 99. Then you can also see the top employers within that region. So you can see that Riverview Regional Medical Center topped the list there for region 2. And you can see the online job ad trend chart here at the bottom, as well as the unemployment trend. You can see that huge spike last April. And then, thank goodness, that great decline in unemployment as we get back to normal levels this March. On the back page of our HWL, every month we do a different occupational focus. This past month we did information security analysts. We look at the demand within the region. We look at the certifications for that occupation, specialized skills, as well as what we call the market salary insight that gives people an idea of what the advertised wage will be for that occupation online. And that's it in a very quick nutshell, because I want to make sure I save time for questions or anything else. Does anybody have any questions about the data or anything else related to LMI? I will answer those the best I can.
Carl, is there anything in the chat box?
No questions in the chat.
So, Mr. Nix, you either did an exceptional job covering everything, or they are busy on the Department of Labor website trying to find all the information and search it out.
Hey, Lisa, this is Allison. I do have a question.
Yeah.
On the slide, I took a picture of it really quickly, that lists Riverview. It's the top 10 employers with most online ads posted. Where is that information pulled from?
Okay, I'll pull that back up real quick. So that is pulled from Burning Glass. That is our source, and we do analysis on their data to put into the HWL publication.
Okay, because I dare say that we would be up there with all the other medical centers around. So I just wondered where that information was pulled.
Yeah, so what they do is they basically pull from online databases as well as direct employer websites in order to pull all that into one pot, if you will, and then we do the analysis based on that. And I will say this, I know a lot of the companies around the state, and sometimes I can see when numbers may look a little erroneous. So if you guys are ever looking at something that we publish, especially dealing with online job ads, and something doesn't quite look right, please feel free to let me know so we can investigate and get Burning Glass into trying to figure out what may be going on.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. I just know,
Yeah.
And it's a hard line with us that we post all of our job openings, and then everybody thinks, well, there's nobody working there. It's a hard agreement between what you do post and what you really have open. So I just wondered about that. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and one of the caveats we always have with online job ad data is that there may be a company out there that lists, I'll just use welder. They may list one job posting for a welder, but they may be hiring 30 welders.
Right.
Then another company may actually put 30 online job ads for welders out on the web, so you have a better read. So yeah, there's a lot of caveats that go with this, but it does give some good insight to what's available out there.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have a question for Mr. Nix?
Hey, Lisa, this is Josh.
Hello, Mr. Laney. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Excuse the noise. I'm in the car, but I was listening in. I wanted to ask about your in-demand list and all that you were showing, and especially like the county profiles. Will those at some point begin to include what is the 5-star in-demand list? Because those all appear to be based surely off of volume. The highest number of openings, as opposed to like the ACCCP process where we've got the 5-star rubric for in-demand occupations that also includes, it kind of combines all that, right? It's growth and it's wages and it's everything else. Are those going to be incorporated at some point in the near future into those county profiles, or used to develop the in-demand occupation list for a region?
Yeah, so everything that we produce is done in conjunction with ACCCP. So the Alabama Committee on Credentialing and Career Pathways. So anything that you see on our demand list is run through that group and through the TAC officers and their groups in order to determine those demand occupations. That was part of what I didn't go into. As I said, I wouldn't go into the methodology because quite a bit of that is, it's kind of a rabbit trail and you can kind of get lost in the weeds. So I want to make sure we highlighted our publications. But yeah, they're on our webpage. And I'm going to share my screen again real quick. So if you're looking at the demand occupations and in the middle of the page, each one of those publications that you pull up for the statewide and regional data will have the methodology in there. And then on the page itself, there's a demand methodology PDF. So it does talk about the 5-star rubric. So basically, what that is in a nutshell is that in order to, for an occupation to become a part of the demand list, those occupations have to meet criteria 1 through 3, as well as 4 or 5. And then in order for it to make it onto the statewide in-demand list, 3 regions have to meet those same criteria in order to make it onto that demand list. So yeah, it's there. I didn't go into it, but it's there for everybody to review.
Yeah, okay. I thought and like I said, I'm just mostly listening, so I wasn't able to look, but I thought I heard you talking about like farm workers and basically agricultural, field hands, like low skill, low wage, those kind of things on the list. I know those wouldn't have made the 5-star cut. So
actually, it is actually part of it. So that was just specifically for agriculture. So we divide everything up into career clusters. So if we were to look at, say, I can pull up health science real quick. You're looking at the bachelor degree and above for medical and health service managers, clinical lab techs, nurse practitioners, physical therapists. So master's degree and above.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Josh, did that answer your questions?
Yeah, I think so. I don't have the luxury of zooming in and looking at the screen while he's talking. So, but I just wanted to make sure that the in-demand list that were being populated into those reports was running through that 5-star process. I didn't understand that it was already. I thought that was not happening yet, but that's good to know.
Yeah, I work with Tanya Lee and then Nathan Rankin as far as getting those lists published and populated.
Anybody else have a question for Mr. Nix? All right, Gerald, thank you so much. I loved what you were talking about, the average salary information. That was really spot on. Often we put information out there, that you can, earn $100,000 in a career field, and students, don't take into consideration that you may have to start considerably lower.
Right.
That's great information.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out via email or phone.
We probably could have you back, every quarter to report on some sort of data information. There's probably always something out there and something new.
Sure thing.
Thank you so much. And so now we're going to switch gears and talk about the Alabama Workforce Stabilization Program. It is something that will be of high interest to many of you. In the fall, Alabama was awarded a grant for $17.8 million to reimagine workforce. And using those funds, Alabama has created the Alabama Workforce Stabilization Program. Since we love an acronym, it's going to be called the AWSP. And I want to introduce our speaker to talk about the AWSP, Roger Fortner. Roger is with the Alabama Department of Commerce Workforce Development Division. He has served as the director of the Regional Workforce Councils for the Department of Commerce since September of 2015. He's responsible for advising and assisting all the regional councils with their workforce initiatives, strategic planning, and assuring their strategies support economic and workforce development needs of Alabama's business and industry. So Roger supports the entire state of Alabama, but he also specifically is our workforce liaison to the Department of Commerce. Roger began his career in workforce development in September of 2007 and has served in several workforce development roles within the Alabama Community College System office before assuming his role as with the Department of Commerce. Roger calls Lake Martin his home. He's been there for the past 18 years. He retired as a chief warrant officer following a 24-year career with the United States Army. Roger is a graduate from the Park University in Kansas City, Missouri, and we would like to welcome Roger to talk about the Alabama Workforce Stabilization Program. And so as Roger is joining us during his presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat box, and we will read those at the end of Roger's presentation. So Roger, we are going to give you the screen and welcome you to talk about the AWSP.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Let me do this. There we go. So yes, we do love an acronym.
Yeah, and we can see your slides, Roger.
All right, goody. Yeah, big old grant, nearly $18 million. It is U.S. Department of Education, which is kind of a bit of a twist, because it is for workforce development, right? But the design of this grant is to assist businesses and workers who have been impacted by COVID-19, and who in the world has not been impacted by COVID, right? The target sectors are what I call the big five, and certainly with our friends from AOA that are on the call today, they recognize the big five. You all recognize the big five. It's the advanced manufacturing, healthcare, IT, construction, and then the transportation, distribution, logistics. So those sectors are going to cover most of all the work we do. Well, what we want to do is to provide short-term training using these dollars, which is really cool because we like to get our people in training and then back out and in the job, so to speak. We have a 3-year statewide goal of nearly 7,100 people to serve. So when you divide that up by 7 regions, it's not horrible at all. It's really quite doable, especially due to the fact that we've been getting cut over the last couple of years on our WIOA money, and so this money is coming in a very timely. It's very timely because we can use it for sure. Some of our regions, 3 of them I know of, are flat broke, so this is like a godsend to them. Goal 2 there you can see on the screen is we want to help Alabama businesses avoid layoffs, upskill current employees, and develop talent pipelines. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, it should, because that's really what we're doing. Everyone on this call, that's what we're in the business of doing, isn't it? Helping Alabama businesses avoid layoffs, upskill current employees, or also known as incumbent workers, right? And develop talent pipelines. So if there's one thing that when I speak about this grant to various regional councils or partners around the state, is I want to stress, don't overthink it and don't overcomplicate it, because it's just what we do. This is, and there's a couple little nuances here and there, and I'll point those out to you, but they're small. And it's just really, we got an infusion of cash to do what we do. So moving along, you can see that is a recap of all 7 regions and their performance goals. Your eyes probably zoom right to that line that says Region 2 on it. You can see that that's a fairly, it's a fairly respectable slice of work, but it's 10% of the work. And so I think it's, very doable for us. And in reality, it's doable for all the regions with the shortage of the WIOA dollars, like I was just mentioning. So, what is this grant asking the regional councils to do? Well, if there's one thing that our regional workforce councils, and that's all of them, and Lisa is no different than the other 6 in that a call to action is really one of the staples of our regional councils. They do a great job at that. We are going to be kind of the cheerleaders of this early on. And we want to do the marketing and outreach and let everybody know that that this grant opportunity is out there. And just going to use the regular the methods that you use to get the word out. So at your industry cluster meetings or industry sector meetings, they call them in this region. And, just email blasts and such as that, getting chambers to help us and the economic development folks. There is one unique thing about this grant. There is a 3-person panel in each region that's set up to review and approve employer participation. So the employers fill out this little form, and we'll go over that in a minute. You'll see that it's very abbreviated form, super simple. At least part of it's super simple, but they're going to fill this out and ask to participate. So then this request form will come to the 3-person panel at each region, and in this case, the chair of the regional council is so that's Tanya, right? The chair of the WIO local area board, and that's Steve Hildebrandt, and then a ACCS rep. And in this region, in region 2, that's our friend Audrey Webb, who we know and love. She's our ACCS rep. And so, they're gonna. This panel will also have some governance responsibility, but a lot of it's already laid out, and so there's not going to be a lot of governance. It's going to be more just kind of reviewing those applications and letting those companies participate. We do ask that the panel gets together at least every 2 months, because if you have a lot of those applications coming in, then obviously you're going to need to review them and get them approved or send them back for technical assistance. And if you get to the end of 2 months, you don't have any, then you need to get together and figure out why don't we have any, and maybe adjust fire on that. There are a couple little minimum requirements we'll go over real quick. This being this grant is a U.S. Department of Education grant. Their definition of a small business is 500 employees or less. In Alabama, that's a pretty good size company. We're going to be able to serve most companies in Region 2 with this 500 people or less at that company. The grant does require that when you're doing the OJT portion of this, there's 2 major portions of this grant, and we'll get into more details in just a minute, but basically you have your OJT clients, participants, and then you got your incumbent worker training participants. So if you're in that OJT portion of this training, then the $12 an hour comes into play, that because there's subsidized salary. You see the bullet there, the companies are going to receive 75% of the salary they pay these people while they're in training. They're going to get subsidies for that for up to 225 hours. Now, so the plant manager and the company pays this individual $3 an hour. The grant pays $9 an hour. That's a pretty good deal right there. There is a retention requirement. We do want to see if the individual's in this program for 225 hours, we expect that the company retain them for the matching number of hours that their salaries are subsidized. So 225 hours, we want them to stick around at least 225 hours after the subsidies end, okay? And the reason for that's obvious. We don't want a company just gaming us and gaming the grant and letting people go after they get their 225 hours and start over with a new person, and then that'll really not do the math very well for us. A really exciting aspect of this grant is that there are supportive services available. So part of the matching funds for us getting this grant was the $1.3 million of the WIOA money was used as a match for Human Capital Development Fund. And so participants can get help with transportation and childcare and others. There's other support services, but that's the ones we see most often. And each individual can qualify for up to $500 each for these supportive services. So that's really cool, because we know transportation and childcare can be an issue. Let's see, let's get into there's two basic levels of participants. And level one is, these are individuals that are your entry level kind of folks they do not have high school credentials. So they're coming to us without a diploma or a GED. Well, our adult ed partners at the community college system are going to do the TABE testing for us. They need to be tested on TABE. They have to be willing to be a CTE student. We want them to be in, when they do these occupational, when they do the OJT, we want them in occupational skills training, not academic transfer, basically. So what we're saying. The individuals have to be WIOA eligible, and that is our friends at the career centers are doing the eligibility for us. And then they have to belong to one of the special populations groups as defined by WIOA. And, if you meet 3, you're going to meet 4, probably. That second bullet there on low income individuals. So the career center is going to help us with those. And so that's level 1. Level 2, and just to make this simple and for the sake of time, think of level 2 as everything that I just described in level 1, except level 2 has a high school diploma or a GED. They possess one, yes. They do the TABE test and they show that they are still basic skills deficient. And the level of TABE that we're testing at is that medium level, which is 11th and 12th grade. And you might be thinking, well, my goodness, if they got a high school diploma. Well, I'll tell you what, having homeschooled my 10th grade grandson some this year, geometry in 10th grade is tough, y'all. so if they got any kind of geometry testing, then I'm probably not going to make 11th and 12th grade. I'll be skills deficient. Okay. Anyway, everything else is pretty much the same on this level 2. And then you got level 2, I'm calling it level 2 continued. So this is where we're going to get into the incumbent worker training portion. And I think everybody knows that incumbent worker, I'm going to go through the acronym, Lisa, because I do love acronyms. IWTP is going to be used to upskill employees. Now, these are full-time people that are already employed at the company. And the company does still have to fill out the training assistance request form, and the 3-person panel still needs to review and approve that. But in a minute, I'm going to show you the form, and it's abbreviated for the IWTP type training. So after that form is completed, then our friends at the career centers, the BSR or case manager or whoever the person is at the career center, they're going to work through the standard application process for the IWTP application for the company. The form that they're going to fill out gets them kind of in the club, so to speak, so that they can start using these monies. But again, this IWTP is basically what we've always done. And it's got this the little form that they have to fill out at the beginning to be approved to participate. Okay, so I would recommend that you write down that web address, because I'll tell you why. When I took the lazy way out and I went straight to AlabamaWorks.com, and I thought there'd be this big old button up at the top of the landing page. It said, click here for AWSP. And it was not there. I communicated with the folks, and we'll see if we can get something added. But to get to this, to get to the landing page for this grant and the information you need to know, I just go ahead and type that .com/AWSP/ and then hit enter. It'll pull you to that landing page. You'll see a resources tab over on the right side of your screen, and you can click that AWSP participation form, and then you fill out like your name and the county you reside in, and or the company would, and then it'll shoot you the form by email. So I am going to back out of this real quick, Lisa, and I'm going to pull up the form. There we go. So this is the form that will get emailed to you when you request it. And I'm going to go over this real quick because a lot of it's self-explanatory. All this stuff at the top, you've got the first 4 lines are just, what's the company's name and address and who's the point of contact and what's their cell number and a couple little things, just very self-explanatory.
Hey, Roger,
Then
we
yes,
can't see the form. I think you need to quit sharing that. And then share the other one.
well, it worked in practice, Lisa.
I know that was the perfect world. This is the second version.
How about now?
Yes, sir.
All right. It always works in practice, and it never works when it's showtime. So again, the top 4 lines are just company information. Then you get down to where you click on that to choose the type of business that this company is, and then they pick which one of those big 5 that is their appropriate sector. We'll just go ahead and click advanced manufacturing. Then you answer some really, really basic questions like how many full-time employees are there? Okay, it needs to be 500 or less, right? And do they pay $12 an hour for these positions that they're wanting trained? Yes or no? Do they provide benefits? Yes or no? Are they subject to collective union bargaining agreement? Yes or no? And if they are, then the union needs to say that it's okie dokie, that they can that they can do this OJT work. And then does the company have a workman's comp? Yes or no? So very straightforward, right? Then it comes to the cost outline, which is not so straightforward. And so what I did is I took a minute and filled out some hypothetical little positions here so you can see what it might look like. So level 1 is remember, that's your non-high school credentialed person. So they're your entry-level line worker. I'm calling them the widget maker. So this company wants to start with 2 trainees on May 1st in their entry-level position of widget maker. They would like to use 225 hours which is the maximum, right? Then it's basic math. It's 2 people times 225 hours equals 450 hours. And then this position pays $12 an hour. So it's 450 hours times $12 an hour equals $5,400. And then that's covered up. And then you see over here on columns I and J, this is basically just to show you what kind of bargain, and it shows Mr. and Mrs. Plant Manager what kind of bargain this is, that if they'll pay these 2 widget makers $1,350 over this 225 hours, that the grant will pay the company back. The grant will chip in and pay $4,050 of their salary for those hours. Then I call the next one, it's a level 2, a little higher level person, and it's a widget designer position. And they would like to start May 10th with 1 widget designer, and they think that they can do the training in 175 hours for this person. So 225 is the max. There, I guess, is not a minimum, but most people are going to use 225, but I just put 175 there just so you can see that it doesn't have to be 225 hours. Again, basic math, 1 times 175 equals 175 times $14 an hour. So the 2450 and then the breakdown there. Again, great deal. They pay $612 and the grant pays $1,838. So it's a really good bargain. Then is the third type of training that's possible is incumbent worker training. So I just called the occupational title mid-level managers. They'd like to start this IWTP program on June 1st with 5 of their mid-level managers. And you see, they don't have to fill anything else out across that, all those math and all that junk. They don't have to do that. But what I did do is down here in the notes section, I kind of gave the 3-person panel a little something to sink their teeth into when they're considering this is, excuse me, mid-level managers are going to participate in this supervisor training. And then the service provider, that's going to be your community college or your ATN. They're going to work directly with the BSR and the business service rep at the career center. And then they're going to initiate that standard contract. So at this time down here, the employer signs. They say, yeah, we like it, we love it, we want more of it. We're going to sign here, say we're going to play ball. But that's all they have to fill out. And obviously they're going to need to get help from a regional rep to do anything besides incumbent worker here. That could be kind of complicated to someone that is not in the business like we all are. The shaded areas to be completed by the regional rep. So the training provider, again, that's community college or ATN, they fill out all these top lines, these 3 top rows. There's an e-verify requirement. These are hot links, and if I was to click that e-verify hot link, it would go right straight to everify.com, and that they could fill that out. The BSR's contact information, a NAICS code, again, hot link, so that they can we can find their NAICS code really easy for them. Here they click the credential that's going to be achieved. We're going to help them click one or more of these boxes that how has their business been impacted by COVID. And then here's where Lisa is going to, her name or one of her, Carl or Abby or whoever she appoints is going to provide their information there. So when this thing gets back and it gets approved, ultimately, the company's going to have everybody's contact information so that they can, on one sheet of paper, so that they can reach out and get the help that they need. Here is where the college signs here or the ATN, and then this signature block is for the 3-person panel. They either approve this company for training or they refer the application back for technical assistance. You'll notice that there is not a denied block. This is a no wrong door approach. They're either going to get approved or we're going to keep providing technical assistance until we can get them approved. Then on the back page, which again, I'm real proud that we held that a government form to 1 page. The back page is just instructions, some guidelines, a brief explanation about what level 1, level 2 employees are, some terms and conditions that talks about the retention rate and all that, and then an explanation of the definitions. And if the 3-person panel is returning something for technical assistance, we need them to give us an idea so we can get the right person to give the right TA. And so we need to know what it's being returned for. And they would fill that out here in the note block. So Lisa, rather than me trying to go back to my last slide that says questions, I'm just gonna stop there. And if there's any questions, I'll give it a try and try to answer them.
Okay, Roger. We do have some questions from Josh Laney. Are the community colleges and ATN the only training providers that are going to be working with this program?
Yes, they are our partner. They're a required partner. Now, Josh, great question. If there's some bizarre kind of training that there's only one provider in the whole United States that can do it, and they're in, Montana or someplace, then we might have to make some kind of alternate provisions. But by and large, it's going to be short term, kind of a non-credit training that's most all of our either an ATN or community college in the region will be able to provide.
All right, the next question, the $500 limit on human capital development money, can that be used for job tools or computers and things like that? Or does it have to be for wraparound service like transportation or childcare?
It's designed for the wraparound services. That's, $500 a person. That's not a lot. There are some provisions for tools and such as that. I doubt if we're buying anybody in computers, but it's going to be basically, it's kind of like an ITA. When they do the OJT and they're doing their educational piece at the community college, it's basically an ITA, individual training account. And so we know that ITAs are really pretty generous when it comes to equipping a student so that they can do what needs to be done when they're in their theory.
And another question, can people signing up for this kind of a program be part-time workers, going to school part-time and working part-time and making it work that way?
Yes, that's really what it's going to be while they're doing this is, and there was a portion on that little form that I had up a minute ago. The company's going to want to work with the community college rep and lay out what kind of a training schedule it will be. But you can figure it's going to be kind of like the FAME program we do, where there's 3 days at work and 2 days at school, and they'll work out whether they want 2 days at work, 3 days at school, however it works out to get them through this training. But it's going to be part-time while they're in this. Yes.
And that's it for chat questions right now.
Okay.
Anybody else have a quick question for Roger? And again, we probably could have Roger come on every quarterly meeting and explain, a little bit more about the Alabama Workforce Stabilization Program. Great opportunities, a lot of information. There is about 30 technical support people within our workforce region that are poised to help business and industry with these forms and help job seekers. So there are resources. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to East Alabama Works, and we'll be happy to make that connection for you. Roger, thank you so much. You are here all the time for us, but we really appreciate you being here for the Alabama Workforce Stabilization Grant Program.
Thank you.
And our last presentation for today is our Worlds of Work event. I am going to share a screen real quick. Just a sec. I hope I don't make y'all busy. Fast forwarding. So joining us today is Carol Kirk. Carol is the chair of Worlds of Work. Her day job is with Eastman Chemical Company located in Anniston. East Alabama Works has hosted Worlds of Work for 5 years. Worlds of Work, if you're not familiar with it, is an interactive career expo designed to open the eyes of students from across the region to help them see over 100 different careers and experience the possibilities that are available. So Carol is going to bring greetings from the Worlds of Work Committee.
Hello, can you hear me okay, Lisa?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
All right, good. Thank you for having me today. And as most of you know, in the past, at least the last time we held an in-person event, we had about 8,000 students that were attending that hands-on career expo, learning about the careers in our areas. And in the last year, I know how many times have all of us heard, we can't get together, we can't do this, and it's all because of how COVID has changed our lives. But this year for 2021, we were determined that the Worlds of Work had to go on. And so between our committee, our all staff at East Alabama Works, our local companies, and we determined that it would happen. So Lisa and her staff have worked tirelessly to be able to roll out a virtual event, and it's for 8th, 9th, 11th, and 12th graders for this year. It launched yesterday with the schools and across the entire region, and we're excited about that. I think we're probably getting some good feedback about it. It's not as good as being in person, but it's the next best thing. And so I'm going to ask Lisa to share with you about how this virtual event is going to work. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Carol. So as students and you all as individuals, you could also maybe find a new career path if you're looking for one. You can look at and experience our Worlds of Work platform. Students, when they log into the web-based platform, the very first thing they're going to see is the bridge. So Worlds of Work this year has an out of this world theme, kind of to go along with Worlds of Work. So we have that out of this world theme. So as you see here, our sponsors are being recognized across the top. We've got a welcome video we'll look at in just a moment. We've got a robot over here on the side. You can kind of see him. Now, the one thing you're not getting to see that students do in the live version, because these are just screen grabs here. What the students that are logged into the web-based platform, they also have sound that goes along with it. It's like the ship is running, so you hear this this rumble of the ship. You hear like the ship doors opening and closing as you move from one world to the other. So you hear this swish of the doors, and there's all sorts of movement that happens. So the robot is moving. This little car that is right under the welcome video, just to the right of the robot, it's moving back and forth. So it's designed to have that interactive type of feel. I did learn a new word through this platform development of gamification. I didn't know that was a word, but apparently it is a word, and is highly gamified experience. So once the students have logged in, or probably they actually don't log in, you can view Worlds of Work without any sort of credentials to log into the platform. So students will click the arrow to advance a couple of slides. They're eventually going to, after a couple of clicks, arrive here at our world choice, so they can choose to explore one of 10 different worlds. As our traditional Worlds of Work, we have agriculture, natural resources, automotive manufacturing, construction, communication, marketing and media, healthcare, IT, information technology, public safety, transportation, energy and utilities, and engineering. So we have 10 different career worlds that students are going to be able to experience. So you see this globe on the left-hand side, the little icons that are shifting and moving around. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see under agriculture and natural resources, a progress bar. So students can complete 8 different missions within the agriculture natural resource world. Every world has about 8 missions that they can complete. And if students say, you know what, agriculture natural resources may not be for me, they can always move backwards and forwards to look at all the different worlds that they see. Down at the bottom, they can always go back to the bridge. The research lab, they're researching different careers. So that's where we are currently, the research lab. mission control, and then a resource library. So we're going to venture into the agriculture natural resource world. On the screen, you see an image. What students see is all sorts of things moving. So you see the smoke that's coming out of the tractor. It's billowing up. You've got the rooster on the fence post, and it's crowing. The sun is up, rising and shining. So all sorts of things that just make that platform feel more interactive. So students want to first explore the platform for agriculture and natural resources. They're going to be able to see a little bit of information about natural agriculture. They're going to see some achievements and missions that they can complete. But the first thing we want to do is take an assessment. And so students can click through and find the different, are you good with animals? Yes or no. Are you interested in environmental issues? Yes or no. If they say yes to 3 or more, then it's going to say that it's a good fit for them. If it is, if they say yes to, I would say no to 3 or more, it's going to say, still explore the world, but maybe agriculture and natural resources isn't the perfect world for you. They probably worded a little softer and gentler than I just did. So, hey, it's a great fit for me. So I'm going to explore the careers within agriculture and natural resources. Oh, I'm going to go back a page. So up in the corner, you see where they're earning badges and points. So if you are a student who loves to earn badges, earn points, you're always able to see and monitor what you're doing. So we're going to take a look at those careers. We've got a video on the left-hand side that talks about those agriculture natural resources careers, but then on the right-hand side are 6 different career pathways. We try to look and work with our world leaders who have been so valuable through this whole process of what are some of the careers within agriculture and natural resources in all the different worlds that are hot in our particular workforce area. So we're going to select forester. We want to see a little more about forestry. And so up is the information about forestry. We've got information about the forestry job. We've got salary, again, as Mr. Nix talked about. We've got that, low to high end. So students are not expecting to earn, $92,000 when they first come out of high school and going into being a forester. Somewhere in that range is kind of, what we're looking at. On the right-hand side, you see explore the skills and tasks that a forester would do. So they're going to, supervise, critical analysis, persuasion. So once they click on each of those 6 buttons, it's going to display information about that particular task. So the whole time they're gaining more and more knowledge about the platform and about the career pathway. So they earn points for every one of those. We're going to go back a screen. For every one of those 6 pathways, they earn points for every one of those 6. They also need to watch that video to get more points. So everything is being, positive reinforcement by gaining points through everything that they do. So down at the bottom, we've completed the careers tab. Now we're looking at the employers tab. These employers are employers within our 7-county workforce region and partners that may lie without but support the work of, like the Alabama Poultry and Egg Association. They're a great supporter of East AlabamaWorks and Worlds of Work. So these are employers that have participated with Worlds of Work in the past. So you see the Calhoun County Conservation District Ag Pro, the Extension Service. So each of these buttons on the left-hand side links to the company website. And there's a scroll down bar. So there's a couple more that you cannot see on the screen. But here's some employers that can also provide additional information for that career pathway. On the right-hand side is a carousel of videos from those employers. So you see Ag Pro, there's a video there. They would need to watch, those videos, again, to earn more points. Everything they do, the more points they get. So the next tab is education. So we have some of our colleges and universities within our 7-county workforce region. They may not provide training specifically for that particular world. We listed all of our education providers, our post-secondary education providers are the same for every one of the worlds, because you may be in the agriculture world, but you want to check out and see what JSU has. You certainly can do that. So once you've checked out the colleges that are training providers, again, some jobs are going to be straight out of high school and go straight to work. Some are going to be those jobs that you need a certification, credential, or a degree. So the student has finished exploring the agricultural natural resource world, so he wants to go home. Well, we're going to get a little information from that student. So each world, before the student can complete it, there's going to be a short assessment. I wish we could have found a little something that was a little, I don't like assessment or test, especially when talking with students, but we do need to make sure that they have stayed engaged through the platform and through the career pathway. What was one career that you learned about that's appealing to you? What employer was most appealing? Are you interested in pursuing a career in the agriculture world? Yes or no? And then the last question is an open-ended question. Is there anything else you want to tell us about your experience, about what you learned? And so we are capturing that information. We're able to capture all sorts of data. Again, it's not assigned specifically to a student, but really, learning, how much time did they spend in the agriculture natural resource world? How much time did they spend in the construction world or the public safety world? What did they, what pathway was clicked on the most? That's some information that we might find helpful in developing future platforms and information, especially for worlds of work. So once that student has completed those 4 little simple questions, there's going to be update the mission log. And now we've submitted that form. So again, now you see where our toolbar has gone from 0 of 8 missions. We've completed all 8 missions in the agriculture natural resource world. And again, they can go and page forward to go to all the other different worlds. So here's mission control. Again, down at the bottom, they had the bridge, research lab that we were just at. Here's mission control, where you can see what you've completed and what you haven't completed. So at this point, students want to submit their mission log. We are, through Worlds of Work, working to provide some prizes to students in the 8th, 9th, 11th, and 12th grades, just to help them, to be more interactive with the platform. So we are, for 8th and 9th grade, students within our 7-county workforce region, if they complete 5 of the 10 different career worlds, they will be put into a drawing. The 11th and 12th grade, we will be putting those students, if they complete 5 worlds, into a drawing. We'll draw 5 for the 11th grade, 5 for the 12th grade, of $500 scholarships. So a great way to maybe help a student to maybe continue to move forward through the platform after that first or second career pathway. So we're going to submit that mission log. I have completed the natural resource world. I could have completed all 5 of my worlds, or maybe all I was interested in was completing 3, and I don't have an interest in completing and competing for an iPad. I can submit that form. I did not capture, so I can complete a couple of fields of information to submit that information. East AlabamaWorks will receive that information. So we will always know who from each school is being entered into the drawing. The school will also be receiving that information, so they stay up to date as well. So next is the resource library. In the resource library, we have our 4 colleges and universities again. Also, you can access the Worlds of Work student guide and you can access career information. And if you're looking for a job, working with the Alabama Career Center system, the AlabamaWorks.alabama.gov. So you can always find career information. That was one thing that in talking with our chair, Carol Kirk, she really wanted to make sure that students would be able to find that information. And the great thing about this platform is it is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it doesn't close, at the end of the school year. Students can always access it. Their parents can access it. Students can take it and go show their parents, here's the cool things I learned about Worlds of Work or a career pathway. And then they could also go back and look for a job. So if they've graduated high school in May and they're trying to find a job, they can remember, hey, that woweast.com website can help me. We'll talk about that website in just a sec. So here's the student book. It's a digital version this year. That way anybody can access it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a flippable page version. So you can always be able to kind of flip through and find information and career information. So you can explore Worlds of Work at woweast.com. So anybody that's on our quarterly workforce meeting, you too can go and experience Worlds of Work just like our students are experiencing. And so the last thing I want to share is a video that we did for a welcome video, being able to inspire students of being the next, what their career pathway is going to be. So I'm going to stop sharing this and pull up real quick a link to share this video.
Hi, my name's Noah Causey, a firefighter here with East Alabama Fire District. Just a few short years ago, I was sitting right where you are, still in school and wondering what the future had in store for me. Then I attended East AlabamaWorks Worlds of Work Expo, explored the public safety world, and found my future as a firefighter. Through the Worlds of Work, I was able to connect with real firefighters, learn about the equipment firefighters use, and find out all about the training I would need for a career in the fire service. I had already been interested in firefighting, but my experience with Worlds of Work solidified my desire to pursue it as a career. As you explore the worlds in this special virtual edition of Worlds of Work, think about the things you like to do, watch the career and company videos to learn about career options in your community, but most of all, keep an open mind because Worlds of Work may just open your eyes to a whole new world of career options that you never even dreamed of before. I found my future with Worlds of Work, and now you can too.
So how about that? So I know it is, we have 2 minutes before the end of our meeting. Carl, are there any questions that we need to address?
Nope, there's nothing in the chat box at this time.
Okay, perfect. Carol, is there anything you want to share?
No, I can't really think of anything else. Lisa, I do want to once again thank you for the work you've put into it, and Abby and Carl. Carl has done an exceptional job on the videos that he's put together with the companies and the welcome video with Noah. So I think in our region, we're really blessed to have a wonderful staff that works so hard to make these things happen. So thanks to all of you and for all the sponsors and the companies that support our Worlds of Work.
Well, Carol, thank you. And thanks to Eastman. They have been our presenting sponsor since day one. They signed on before they even knew what Worlds of Work was going to be. They said we wanted to be involved. And not only do they give financially, they obviously loan out Carol, where she's almost like a United Way loaned exec, which is how I first met Carol. And so we're thrilled to have you as our event chair, and Kelly Pierce with Gadsden State Community College as her co-chair. And Kelly has also been part of Worlds of Work since day one. Yeah, we do want to recognize Carl. Many of our company videos were shot by Carl and put together, edited into the format, from the concept to recording and then the editing. It's certainly made life easier for a lot of our employers to be able to have those videos taken care of. So on behalf of the Board of Directors of East Alabama Works, we really want to thank our presenters today, Gerald Nix, Alabama Department of Labor, Roger Fortner with the Alabama Department of Commerce Workforce Development Division, and Carol Kurt with with Worlds of Work. We also want to thank you as our workforce stakeholders. We certainly don't want to do this work alone, and thrilled that we have the opportunity to do this work with each of you as our partners. Our next quarterly meeting is going to take place on Tuesday, July the 27th, 2021, starting at 1 p.m. This meeting will probably also be a virtual meeting just due to timing. We certainly hope to be back together in person when it is safe to do so. What is important is that we are all working together, and when we work together, it benefits our community and benefits our job seekers and our employers. So with that, we are adjourned, and I want to say thank you for coming to our quarterly meeting today.